Warning, we are a spoiler-based podcast. At times, we are also an offensive podcast, and we are most certainly a verbally explicit podcast. So if you fear for any of your delicate sensibilities, please back up now before you reach the point of no return. This is your final warning.
Back again for another ill-conceived episode. I am Chris.
And I am the ill-conceived Omar.
And we are one half of Cinematic Anarchy.
We are two-fourths.
2/4, one half. Actually, we're maybe 1/3 at this point. We're starting to add a few more people to the crew. We did have a good experience with Miss Peyton. Last time she was on the podcast, so I think we are going to invite her back and try her out for a few more episodes, see if we'd like to have her on as a mainstay. Because, you know what, when it comes right down to it, 4 people, fantastic. But let's be honest, we could use about 10 people on this podcast. We need to keep at least 3 or 4 people here at all times. Otherwise, we just end up talking to ourselves. And
or aimlessly to each other.
Aimlessly to each other works sometimes, too. Today's podcast, we are going to be discussing the sequel to the classic film, cult classic film. It is Battle Royale 2, Requiem. And we are doing Requiem. There is a director's cut called Revenge. But we are going to be doing
Revenge was actually the original title for it, the way they had in the novel, the way they had it, that was the original title of the book, the second book.
And this movie was not done by the original director and or writer. The gentleman that directed the original film, he actually passed away, and his son took over for the sequel. So this is rated about a 4.7 on IMDb. I got a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. Definitely not the best movie that I've ever seen. It kind of dragged.
It did a little. A few things to point out though. The way they designed the soundstage design, the way they set up everything, where everything took place, was very good. I mean, technically, they had everything needed to make a great film.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of films out there like that, where they have all the components of what would make a great film, however, the magic just wasn't there.
Some things, you feel throughout. Contrary to the other one, you feel throughout that there's something missing. Probably the original guy who did it. Who knows? But it felt throughout that there was something missing. Nonetheless, it is entertaining. I would recommend it as an entertaining watch. If you're home on a weekday and want to catch a movie before going to bed or whatever. Mind you, it's not a great movie. It's not like the greatest movie of all time. Nothing to write home about. But it's nonetheless pretty entertaining, I feel.
I love that you said that we could watch this just before going to bed, because this would definitely put me to sleep. It really would.
Well,
it almost did.
I mean, there's a lot of violence, a lot of killing, but it felt kind of, with the exception of a couple of twists that were very, very minimal as twist goes. But it was pretty predictable for the most part to me.
Well, yeah, from point A to point B, you pretty much knew what was going on. You knew everything that was going on. I didn't see the rugby thing coming at the end.
No.
Maybe I wasn't paying as much attention to it as I should have.
Mm-hmm.
But the main antagonist showing up at the end of the movie with the necklace on, which, you saw nearing the end anyway, and in a rugby uniform, that weird rugby dive that he does just at the end as the place is blowing up.
Yep.
And there you go, spoilers. Spoilers for the movie.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, if you don't expect it for this show, then I don't know what type of show you were expecting.
Well, we warned them at the beginning.
Yeah.
There's not only so much we can do to kind of give them a heads up, and then at that point, it's like, well, if you ignored the beginning,
if you're still here, it's on you.
Pretty much, you fucked up. It's
but
not
between point A and point B, it's not like we're narrating the whole movie. There's plenty that happens. It is entertaining. It's just, I don't know. I do feel they could have done more with what they had in their hands. Right now, we're watching it as we speak, and I see it, and I can tell you, it's things that are about to happen and all that. It's very predictable.
I didn't like what they did with the sequel. I mean, I don't like the whole pairs thing, because nobody really acts as a legitimate pair in this.
And nobody's supposed to.
So you don't have two people protecting each other at all times. They paired them up boy-girl. And, one gets killed, the other one gets killed. Basically that ticking time bomb around.
Yeah, you're really
bomb.
not playing in pairs. You just died together.
Said tipping time bok. That's what I just said 2 seconds ago. Instead of ticking time clock.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting tired of tripping over my own tongue. I've got to do something that maybe do facial stretchers or something.
Tipping time bomb. Ticking time clock.
Tipping time bok. Wasn't even a bomb. It was a bok. I don't even know what the fuck a bok is. Other than maybe the Toyota place up the road.
The Bach.
Bach Toyota. That we're not actually working for them.
Think outside the Bach.
Bach.
But yeah, it was however entertaining. I'm not gonna take away that from it. To me, it was very entertaining. It was just predictable.
I don't regret watching it because it kind of ties together with the first movie. It kind of gives it a more cohesive ending. Rather than the last movie where you have them just kind of go off into the world, the survivors of the first movie. You get to see what happens. So the whole premise of this movie is that we're going ahead and going with Battle Royale 2. They've stepped up the game, and the survivors from the original Battle Royale have formed a terrorist group that basically is a bunch of children fighting against the adults of the world. And they took a very heavy-handed swing with the Twin Towers at the beginning just getting blown up. Not the Twin Towers in New York, but just a twin set of towers that they basically pancake in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, they leveled that, and I can see where a lot of snowflakes would have been very offended by that. Being a New Yorker, I probably would have been like, man, after all this time, but that movie was made, I think it was
2 years.
2 years after, right? 2003. Right.
Watching it now, it's very different. Back then, if I had seen it back then, it probably would have rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah. At the same time, the way I feel about the whole Twin Towers thing, it was an inside job, so it wasn't like it's something that could have been avoided. So I've been very cynical about it all these years. Well, yeah, we will never forget, but then again, I also will never forget that it could have been avoided.
Yeah, we're being asked never to forget things that not only could have been avoided, but things that we don't entirely know the whole truth about. We're only given what truth they feel we need to know.
Exactly.
All right. So I do feel you, especially in today's political climate. I feel like, today, truth is subjective. They tell you what they want you to think the truth is.
And a lot of us, basically, just propagate a lie so long that it becomes the truth, but there's really no backing of it.
Oh, tell me that most people aren't just sitting around ready with their spoon to eat the shit as it hits the fan.
Pretty much.
Just spoon it into your mouth, baby. They'll keep feeding it to you. Don't worry.
True.
But this film actually has a lot of political undertones to it. There's a lot of
very strong message about where we're headed as societies in the world.
The idea that any society would use children to fight their wars. Oh wait, hold on. They do.
Yeah.
Hello.
Exactly.
What do you think they do? They recruit right out of high school. That's what they want. They want the young kids on the front line. They want to put them to fight their wars for them. Because they're not out there, recruiting, old businessmen or anything. They're not recruiting middle-aged guys. No, they're recruiting young kids out of high school. That's who they want. They want young bumpkins thinking, hey, you know what? I need an education. And they're offering me this. They're offering me free education. They're offering me health care. I'm going to tell you, I know a few veterans, and getting health care taken care of as a veteran, especially mental health care, not fucking easy.
It is a trip. It is an odyssey.
So, we've got children fighting our wars for us, which, in all honesty, this is not that far off. Yes, they have little kids holding guns here, but that's our country. We don't have the little kids holding the guns like that. We don't have little kids, grade school children out there fighting our wars for us, but a lot of other countries, they do.
And is it the same actor that played the kid in the first movie? The terrorist leader?
That's actually a good question. That's not something that I did. See, this is why our format's a little weird. We don't do a whole lot of research. We just kind of like to get together, shoot the shit, and occasionally we have to break off to hit the Googles and see if we can find the shit that we're actually talking about. Did you see?
Le Googles.
You didn't, did you? No?
I didn't.
Okay, well, I can go ahead and take a look real quick, because IMDb is usually good for providing that kind of information.
And it's usually, forefront. You don't have to, dig and move things around to look for it.
So the gentleman, that is the character there. Well, hold on a minute. Keep talking. We don't want dead air.
No, we do not.
You got to keep chatting, saying something. Fill the space.
I'm sorry. I was yawning here. It's the anarchy of it all. Nah, I wasn't yawning, but I just was looking as you're looking. But yeah, there he is, and just trying to see if he was
same guy from the first movie. And he's been in several movies thereafter, but yeah, he is the same guy from the first movie that had gone on to survive and basically become an international terrorist killing adults.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
Going around getting adults done.
I don't know. I think there was a lot of over-dramatics in this movie.
Yeah, a whole lot of over-dramatizing.
I think everybody felt that they needed to have their "I'm just about to die" speech. Mm-hmm. This is why I think this world sucks. Well, yeah, your world sucks. You're a bunch of kids fighting against the adults of the world.
Yeah.
Very, very Lord of the Flies.
Basically. Life will suck if that was the case. Being a kid, having to,
Well, I mean, they obviously... I don't understand this particular society. The society that this portrays, that people would just allow their children to be taken for these games. I can't imagine the same premise would go over well in the real world. The idea, hey, look, an entire...
They allow their kids to be taken away for war.
Well, for the most part, they sign up for it, though. Unless you're talking about the draft, for the most part, they sign up for it. These kids didn't sign up for everything. They got drugged and dragged into it.
Yep.
You remember, both games, they were drugged. The bus was drugged. They were passed out.
They just woke up at this type of camp place. They were, inside, a meeting center for them. And they woke up at this place, and that was pretty much it for them.
The first one was done out of, a bombed-out high school. The second one, it looked like they just got them together inside of a storage container. In the middle of a military field. This is just one of those impromptu things that they can use to kind of just set up and have everybody walk into, do their meetings, and walk right the fuck out. It's collapsible. You can take it with you.
Yeah.
You know, just have your ship it over.
Wrap it up and fold it down. Let's go.
But, you know, they never really touch on the parents of these kids. Where the hell are the fucking parents of these children?
On none of the movies. They're like parentless fucking kids.
It's like, and it's literally like the adults could give a lesser shit that these children exist.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because this is all broadcast. They're broadcasting the children out there, you know, being killed. They're broadcasting the game to the world.
First killing each other and then being killed.
So they're basically showing everybody these children are in the middle of combat, but they're not showing, hey, you know, mom, dad at home freaking out because their kids are getting blown away left and right. Just like, oh, well, let's pop out another.
Which brings me to that question. Could this be a future that we may be able to envision where things like this are happening and parents don't seem to be anywhere to be found enough to give a flying fuck?
I don't know about you, but if my kids don't come home from school one day, I'm going to have questions.
I'm going to freak the fuck out.
I'm not the... You know, you don't see parents going to the military base like, where's my fucking kid? You know, no, it's just they were like, oh, well, you know, my mom and dad. No, they didn't even mention their mother and fathers in this, really.
And even in the first one, you saw that there were flashback scenes, and you don't see parents.
No.
You remember the flashback scenes that they had?
Well, they had some flashbacks in here as well.
Yeah, no, you don't see parents anywhere.
Well,
either one.
This young girl, the young girl that's confronting our main protagonist, she is the daughter of the teacher from the original movie. So she's basically going to confront the young man who killed her father.
That's why she's there.
Yes. Eventually she falls in league with them, understanding what's going on. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I don't... Just having the movie playing in the background here, where we don't have it no volume on because it's a Japanese film anyway, it's only subtitled.
And not that we need to hear it.
They don't do any American dubbing for this film. And I don't get how they get from point A to point B, really. I get that this whole idea was they were sending them pairs, boy, girl, and you'd think that the initial instinct, yes, it's going to be to freak out, but their initial instinct is to protect each other. Band together. And at no point do they really band together. Almost everybody, even through to the end, almost everybody is sort of, I'm out to do this for myself. I'm going to do this for myself.
Yeah, even at that moment, it's every gorilla for itself.
Well, I mean, you see them kind of band together loosely, but then it's like, I'm going to go do this for myself and save you guys. So you have a lot of people throwing themselves on the proverbial fucking grenade.
Yeah.
Which doesn't help them at all.
All the little martyrs having their little dramatic endings. And of course, can't forget the speech.
Now, the only reason why I really want to see Revenge is because I need somebody to fill in from point A to point B with me. Because I don't know how much of the ending that you got to watch. Now, Mr. Omar, we went to go watch this movie. He was not here when we did the original Battle Royal. And
I was telling during the live feed before we started recording, I was telling them that I just went and watched whatever.
And he watched the original Battle Royal instead of Battle Royal Requiem. So he was expecting we were going to be talking about one movie today. And instead, what we're talking about is the film that he didn't watch, or he had watched a while ago. And I say that to get to my point. Nearing the end of the movie, two of them lead protagonists. The guy who won the Battle Royal from the first movie, and the bleach-haired fella from this movie, whose name escapes me. The names are all escaping me anyway. They're all Japanese names, so I feel like I'm just going to fucking butcher them no matter what I do.
They're very smart names, though, if they keep escaping you. I can read them.
Well, anyway, the gentleman with the bleached hair, who seems to be like the lead kid from the other school.
Yeah.
He seems to be the one that survives to the end.
From the new class.
So the guy from the old class, the guy from the new class, they go out at the end, and this is after the young lady who was the daughter of the teacher from the first movie dies. They go out at the end, and they just dive out and into the fray. Mm-hmm. And right there you think they're going to bite it. And they cut away to the end of the movie, and there's just all the kids that escaped through the tunnel from the island, just standing there waiting for something or somebody, and along come these two guys who you just thought bit it.
Yeah, they're waiting for guidance.
I saw how many people were coming up that fucking hill. There were endless people. The only reason the adults even decided to come to this island was to fight off the kids that originally decided, no, we're going to switch side to the terrorists. Yeah. Because we can't deal with your shit anymore. We can't deal with all your corrupt bullshit. And, by the way, that feels like the way this country is going to go real fucking quick.
Kind of like a V for Vendetta type of mood on that.
But I don't understand how these two guys, one of which who is out of ammo, both dive out into the fray with nothing but handguns and are still alive at the end of the movie. It's like they decided, I really don't know how to end this movie. We got the two lead good guys, and we've got hordes of bad guys coming this way. So why don't we just say they dive out into the fray, and then we're going to whitewash the whole thing, and the next thing you know, they've survived.
Yeah.
We're going to basically give you no answer at all. Just give you the happy ending.
Seems like a moment of, what you mean they dead? What is this? I didn't write this shit. What the fuck happened? No, they can't die. And then all of a sudden I say, okay, so let's just ask, okay, boys, so I guess the movie's not over. We gotta add a scene where everybody thinks you're dead, but you're actually alive coming out of the tunnel.
Well, that's why I'm wondering if, like, Revenge actually gave you that answer. If the director's cut of this gave you the answer, or if they did it the same way.
I think not. I haven't seen the other one, the director's cut. I have not. So anything I will tell you will be not accurate. But I don't know, all that. It was just predictable as hell.
I don't think I've never seen it either. So that I'm interested in seeing it just for that sake. Like, this was painful. I mean, I liked it a little bit, but in all honesty, I won't watch it again.
I think it was entertaining. Of course, most definitely not repeat worthy. But for the moment and for what it was entertaining.
Entertaining is a far stretch for me.
I think, yeah.
I was not entertained.
It's an okay substitute for social media on a Wednesday night.
And this is a Christmas movie. It is a Christmas movie. He starts off by saying Merry Christmas to these kids. Merry Christmas.
It's true.
Yes. It is a fucking Christmas movie.
You need to say that shit again. How is it that the message started?
It started at Merry Christmas.
There you go. Come for Chris, everybody.
They used a couple of mechanics from the original movie too that just made no sense with this. Like, you did not need to have the beginning of the movie when they first hit the beach. And they're supposed to go uphill battle on this island to go fight these guys. They first stray across that one mechanic from the first movie where they have the danger zones, the dead zones. Basically, if you're in this zone, you need to move from that zone to another zone or you're going to get blown up. You know? And I guess they kind of used it to show that these people should stay in pairs because that one girl who couldn't move from point A to point B to try to save herself, she didn't really. They just started shooting at her. She moved out of cover, and she ran for it through the red zone instead of trying to get to the other cover where everybody else was, essentially killing her partner. So that really had no place in this movie. They shouldn't have used it. I don't think that fit. I don't think the subtitles where they're showing you all the people getting killed, boy 10 dead, girl 11 dead. It doesn't matter to this film.
You shouldn't. No.
if you pull that out, it's the same damn film. It
made a difference in the other film, but not in this one, because they're not competing with each other. They're all going for a common goal.
I mean, essentially, they're still saying this is a game, and what we're watching is sort of what they're broadcasting live. But really, it doesn't have the same, I guess, the same feel. It doesn't push the story forward. It's not needed.
No, it doesn't. There's a lot of things in that movie that are just there for entertainment's sake.
They have a lot of overly dramatic speeches, which I think dragged the movie down quite a bit. Like, everybody needed to have their overly dramatic, this is all pointless kind of speech.
Yeah.
Or you keep fighting to survive. Keep fighting to survive. So many people died and had to have that.
Keep fighting.
Keep fighting.
Keep going. This is my legacy to you. The advice to keep going. Now I gotta go. Drop that.
Yeah. So, all in all, I get why it got a low rating on IMDb. I
don't
Rotten
really agree
Tomatoes.
with none of those things, but yeah, I see it.
I actually was talking to Kelly about you know who Kelly is, correct? The gentleman that runs the Steampunk Cafe.
Oh, yeah.
I was talking to him about this earlier because he had said he hadn't gotten to watch this one either. He'd seen the first Battle Royale and really loved it, and said he had a whole kind of Japanese phase. And I loved the first movie. The first movie was fucking fantastic, both the director's cut and the original. And this movie, I don't know. I get that it's not the same director, but... Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that they could have cut out, tied it up. There's a lot of things that went unanswered. I don't want to call them plot holes, because a plot hole would assume that they missed saying something. I think that they deliberately did not film portions of the movie, like when they got to the end. I think that they were just, well, I've run out of ideas. How do we save them? I don't know. Let's just say they're alive. That's it. Let's just say they're alive. Well, how did they survive? We don't have to tell them. Why don't we have to tell them? Because they don't need to know.
Tell them, Brent. They don't have the story. Let them fill in the rest.
They just need to know that they are alive. Oh, and then we're going to try to make it like there's going to be a third movie.
And hope they say some shit about it.
We're going to try to make it like there's a third movie. No, there's not going to be a third movie. Nobody's going to want a third movie after the last one. So,
not a movie I will rent. Not a movie I will...
It was free.
Invest like... what could be otherwise quality time, but on a Tuesday, Wednesday night, it's a good substitute for social media.
I bought the box set.
Nice.
So,
genius.
I didn't buy it for free originally. It was definitely something that I didn't buy it for free. I said I bought it.
You didn't buy it for free?
No, I didn't buy it for free. I could have watched it for free, but I purchased the films because I absolutely loved the first one, and I thought, why not invest in having that box set? It has all the other lovely little features to it. You get the not director's commentary, but just commentary tracks and all that other fun stuff. And all in all, the second movie was so painfully bad that just... I felt like it sucked the 2 hours out of my life, and it just lasted longer than it should have. It didn't have that draw. It didn't have the intense moments. It was lots of dialogue filled with sporadic intense moments, and it didn't drive the film forward at all.
No.
So I think that's all we can really say about our lovely film here.
A 2-hour movie that could have been 1 hour.
2-hour movie that could have been 1 hour that we can only dedicate a half hour to talking about. That's it. We're done. No more. We're going to go ahead and move on to the sponsors, and then to our pitch storm portion of the podcast. And
the sponsors that sponsorize us.
When we come back, we are going to have Miss Nico on the line to discuss the Tea Time with Honey portion of our podcast.
Yep, the transgender incident.
All right.
Somebody got beat up for using the right bathroom. What the hell is going on, people?
Who fucking knows? The world's going to shit in the hand. Shit in the shit basket? Shit in the hand basket? Hand in the shit basket?
It's going to go hand in the shit basket.
All right, we will be back. All right, thank you for sticking around after our sponsorship, and we do have via remote, or on the phone anyway, Miss B to do the tea time portion of our podcast. Take it away, Miss B.
Okay, so this week we're going to talk about some transphobic issues going on out in Oregon.
Okay.
So,
Of all places.
apparently, there's this guy. What's his fucking name? Let me find his name. I've got the article.
You got the article about both of them, right?
What?
You have both articles, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So we're talking about this guy who beat a transgender woman for using the correct bathroom. And this is nothing that's fucking, like, uncommon these days. People are so terrified of the trans community. And it's because of people like Jessica Yanni that they're so fucking afraid of the transgender community being in the bathrooms that they identify with.
Right.
Jessica Yanni is this self-proclaimed trans person. However, she isn't actually trans. She just uses the trans label as a way to prey on young girls in bathrooms. And people like her are exactly why people are so fucking afraid of transgender people.
God
This
damn.
girl, this guy, I'm not even gonna give Jessica Yanni the fucking the fucking respect of calling her Jessica. It's Jonathan Yanni. Fucking, he has posted so many tweets, like countless fucking tweets about, oh, what if there's like a 10 or 12-year-old little girl in the bathroom and she needs a pad or a tampon? Do I give her one and instruct her on how to use it, how to put it in?
What the hell?
Asking little girls for pads and tampons, like, if you're a trans woman, you don't get a period. Why the fuck would you be asking a child for a fucking pad or a tampon?
Also, why would you think that you're the person that should be teaching this 10-year-old child, who's, I'm hoping their parents would be close by, to use such products?
Jessica Yanni is the kind of trans person who goes to places goes to like spa salons, shit like that, to like get her downstairs waxed. And she's trying to force women in these fucking establishments to wax her fucking ball sack.
Damn.
Okay.
And that's illegal. Like, she can't fucking do that. She can't, and she's trying to fucking she's pressed fucking, what is it, like 16 different lawsuits on separate salons and spas and shit like that, just trying to get money out of these people. And, like, so fucking abusive, bro. It's disgusting.
Trying to use what other people's...
It's people like this guy that fucking ruins it for the rest of the trans community.
Yeah, they're using a thing that is so personal to so many people, something that other people can avoid, and then this person is using it for their own selfish reasons and personal advantage. It is disgusting.
Yeah, and like, I don't know if you guys have seen pictures of Jonathan Yanni, but he's not an approachable person. He's not someone that a little fucking 10, 12-year-old girl would go up to asking about a fucking pad or tampon.
He looks like a wrestler who just happened to be dressed as a woman for Halloween.
With a fucking really shitty fried hairdo.
Yeah.
Like, that shit is fried fucking blonde.
Yeah, I've seen...
very difficult to look at.
I've seen pictures recently, so... You brought this up, and I tried to do a little bit of research, and in all honesty...
And this has been going on for a long time. Like, I don't know why Jonathan Yanni hasn't been put in prison as already. Fucking, he tried to host a pool party for children who were unsupervised.
What the hell?
So that he could see these little kids in their fucking bathing suits.
What the fuck?
I honestly don't understand this particular gentleman. I'm having a...
People are so afraid to fucking confront him because he uses the trans label as anyone who disagrees with him is a hate crime.
Well, that's not necessarily true, right? I mean,
No, it's not.
just because you happen to
But
disagree with somebody doesn't mean you hate them.
He's making it difficult for people to take the trans community seriously.
Yeah, and I mean that's something that kind of hits home here, obviously for me as well. My other transgender son,
and I have a trans brother.
He's still not to the point where he feels comfortable using the men's bathroom because of things like this.
Exactly,
I told him his best bet is to use the family restrooms until such time as he feels comfortable using the public restrooms.
Trans folks
Hold until he's strong enough to beat somebody up.
Trans folks are so afraid of using the bathrooms that they identify with because of people like Fred Constanza, who beat the shit out of Lauren Jackson for using the correct bathroom. And it's not like Lauren Jackson was just some creepy fucking person who was hanging around the bathroom. Like, this guy walked over 100 yards across a park to go confront this woman about using a bathroom.
Yeah.
Trans people are afraid to use the bathrooms that they identify with because of people like this. And people like this are afraid of trans people because of people like Jessica Yanni. It's a fucking cycle.
It is true.
And I believe that gentleman, the one that had beat up Lauren Jackson, I believe he is currently being charged with a hate crime.
Yeah, he is. He's got 3 charges against him.
3 charges? Was this were these separate incidents, or is it all from the same incident?
All from the same incident.
All from the same.
Okay. What other crimes is he being charged with?
Let me see.
I believe probably assault.
Definitely assault. Assault and battery.
Assault, battery, and the hate crime. I guess that would be 3 charges, correct?
Yeah.
Assault and harassment for the August attack. Let me see. For a first-degree bias crime. Second-degree assault and harassment.
Yeah. Assault and battery and harassment.
Yep, so that all...
And bias crime.
That all fits. Jeez. You know, I can't stand behind these people that try to make the transgender issue just about them. It's like, I get that...
But it's never gonna fucking affect them in their entire lives unless they go out looking for trans folks to sleep with just so that they can kill them for not telling them that they were trans.
Well, no, I'm talking about folks like Jessica Yanni, who like you said, she uses the transgender label for her own needs, for her own ends. She's filing lawsuits, she's doing all sorts of stuff like that. And when it comes right down to it, I mean, yeah, you can pretend to be an activist all you want, but if your entire mode, if your entire mode is just aggression, I mean, I'm putting aside the whole predator portion of the thing, and I'm just saying that, I mean, this particular person goes out and commits acts that will put her in direct confrontation with other people.
Yeah.
And I can understand, fighting for other people's rights, but when you're the kind of person that just literally wants to stir the pot and stir the shit all the time, I don't have a lot of respect for that.
No, definitely not.
And, I'm pretty sure he lives with his mother in an apartment building right now. But, there are several charges that are, there are several open cases against Jessica Yanni. But, there have been videos where, reporters will go up to Jessica Yanni to, ask questions and shit and be like, so why are you still asking about fucking 10, 12-year-old little girls on fucking Twitter? And Jessica's like, I'm disabled, this and that, blah, blah, walking around with a fucking cane, but all of a sudden she can fucking run and hit someone, over the head with a fucking cane,
So listen to this real quick.
The definition of a person who abuses every ounce of the system, and she's not even in fucking the States. She's in fucking Canada.
British Columbia, to be specific.
British Columbia.
So, complaints brought forward by trans activist Jessica Yaniv have been deferred for 6 months by the BC Human Rights Tribunal for her failure to pay costs from previous unsuccessful complaints against 3 beauty salons. So, she has several lawsuits out, which have all been deferred because she hasn't paid the $6,000 from her other failed attempts to sue other salons.
Ridiculous.
I believe that's a bit of poetic justice, honestly. And it sounds like like I said, what she's doing is vindictive, a bit nasty, and she's trying to act as an activist, trying to put the transgender label things on that as a face, on her activities. But what it really is just her going out and committing absolutely ludicrous and nasty acts in the name of activism.
Exactly. Like, if a beauty salon, a spa is telling you that they will not wax your bare genitals, then fucking accept it. Like, nobody has to touch your fucking nutsack, bro.
It says here, in effect, the tribunal found that the respondents, the salons, did not offer scrotum waxing to anyone. So they did not deny Yaniv a specific service.
It wasn't biased. There was no bias to them denying the service. But I can imagine this dude going, "We're all girls here. Just wax my balls."
I'm sorry, you were saying something, Miss Nico.
Yeah, fucking, I don't even remember what I was saying. No, fucking women shouldn't be forced to wax male genitalia, and men are not allowed to go anywhere near women in that kind of establishment.
But you have places that will do that, though. That will specifically do that. That as a man, you can go in and get your things done like that.
Yeah, you can. But only by another man, not by a woman. She's using vulnerable people to take advantage of.
So he's just plain transgender to some macabre selfishness.
Yes.
Basically, not necessarily a real transgender, just using a flag of being transgender and an activist at that to just go around and... What's the explanation for this creature beating up on a person for using a bathroom that they identify with?
Oh, okay. So we're back to the other guy now.
There's no explanation for it. Some people just fucking hate trans folk. I'm not gonna lie. This person, Lauren Jackson, yeah, she doesn't look feminine. But, it's like, in the face. But that's no excuse to run across a fucking park to beat the shit out of her for using the bathroom.
I mean, confront them maybe, but...
in the bathroom.
I can understand confronting the gentleman maybe, but attacking them, like physically assaulting them? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And my wonder is if the gentleman just used that as an excuse to attack this person.
Probably. Who knows?
But I mean, we're not making a lot of strides forward for transgender rights as a country. Not just transgender. I mean, LGBTQ rights in general. Right now, thanks to our current administrations, we're making.
I was gonna say, we were doing so fucking good under the Obama administration for the LGBTQ fucking rights. We were doing so fucking good with that community under the Obama administration. And then fucking Trump came in, and everyone's like, oh no, trans people and gay folk are the devil.
Well, we're catering to a different crowd right now.
Oh, yeah.
And,
the fucking Christians.
What we're doing is we're catering to a crowd of people who... And much like Miss Yaniv, my apologies, I don't mean to lump them into the same category, but much like Miss Yaniv, these folks are using the guise of politics and or religion to cover the fact that they're basically committing hate crimes and crimes against humanity.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they're doing. And it's more than people. It's more than just being evil. Like, there are people out there that do shit like this, but they're not as public about it as she is. Like, she goes onto fucking public forums to ask people these questions about little girls. And she has fucking supporters. I don't know how the fuck. Like, she has thousands of fucking supporters. People are still fucking rooting for this girl, and I don't fucking get it. She's an actual, literal fucking predator.
Hello. I mean, let's reel it back just a minute. You don't understand how this person who is a legitimate predator could have a fan base. Let's see. I'm just going by.
I know. Onision is a huge fucking example of that.
Well, let's go back to our current political climate here. We'll go ahead and discuss that one.
Yeah.
We have put a man
Our
in.
country's not the best with fucking morals.
We are morally as much a third world country as most places right now.
Yeah.
But we are first in the world in double standards.
We don't
Truth.
we don't get to live on our high horses anymore. We don't get to be the standard that the entire world wants to live by, the people that the entire world envies. No, what we get to be is a joke right now.
Yet we refuse to get off the high horse.
Of course we're the joke right now.
And the reason why we're the joke is because most of us still believe we're number one.
This administration makes it so fucking easy to make a mockery of us.
Yeah. It is crazy.
You know how I know that we're not number one right now? That we're a joke?
You have eyes?
I sent you an article. I sent all of you an article earlier on this week about the French firefighters who are fighting for their pensions against the local police by setting themselves on fire and attacking the police. Huh?
Bless their souls. I love them.
Oh yeah, that was brave.
But the thing is that I thought about it. And the last few protests that we had in this country were the most passive, pussyfooting versions of protests that I've ever seen. We can all sit there and cry and whine and bitch and moan into our megaphones as much as we want, but nobody's affecting any real lasting change right now, outside of the folks that are changing things for the worse.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what's happening.
The only people doing anything are those that are fucking shit up further.
And unless we as a country really get together and decide that we're done taking this shit and fight for our rights again, we're just going to get what we deserve.
Exactly. We deserve what we allow.
That's never going to happen because people in the United States are convinced that capitalism fucking works.
Yeah.
They don't realize
Too
that
complacent.
corporations are stealing their whole fucking lives from them.
And then this propaganda that has people indoctrinated in a way that they cannot separate socialism from communism is also a big part of the whole thing. Most people, just like you have a whole bunch of people that never met a Muslim person before 9/11, they cannot separate Muslims from terrorists. There's people that they cannot separate socialism from communism. They don't know that it's a different thing. And they're super scared of it.
That's exactly what it is. There's fucking... People are terrified of what they don't understand. And they're not willing to open their mind and look into doing some kind of research to try to understand the things that they're so afraid of.
Simple minds.
That's where the fucking rub is that people are afraid of what they don't understand, but are also too afraid to learn about what they don't understand.
That's another thing. It's true. Because in this era of information, ignorance is a choice.
It is. It definitely is.
Too much information available for you not to know some shit.
You know what the problem is? That it's also a choice of our countrymen, the people running this place. It is a choice whether or not they want the masses educated.
They need them dumb, and they... I'd read something. I don't know if you remember. I posted something on Facebook about it not long ago. How this country has had a long-standing war against intellectualism. Basically, there's this cultural thing here that being smart and having some knowledge is not cool. At some point, somebody just make that a thing. And it comes basically from a false conviction that my ignorance is as good as your knowledge.
You know where a friend of mine says that came from? They pinpointed, or they felt that they had pinpointed a lot of the decline in educated society in America to Friends.
Damn.
If you watch the television show, Ross, who is the most intelligent amongst all of them, is constantly ridiculed for having knowledge and expressing it and providing knowledge.
Exactly. No, Friends is just a representation of how this country has been for a long time. Friends didn't create the problem. Neither did Revenge of the Nerds. The movies, the nerd movies, where the nerds were their own popular ones. The outcasts. The kids that wouldn't sit at the table with the popular kids. The problem didn't start there neither. That this is deeper than that, and it has been going on longer than that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, fucking, they need us to stay dumb so that they can fucking do whatever it is that they want to do.
Well, uneducated people rarely search for the actual answers.
Yeah. It's easier to let somebody in a suit tell us what's what, and because that person talks so eloquently, just because something sounds pretty doesn't mean it's correct, motherfucker.
Okay, first of all,
right.
Let me just say something. I love how you said that person in a suit says something eloquently. When is the last time you sat there and watched anything on C-SPAN or CNN and thought, you know what, that guy, he's a real smart fella?
No,
lately
but they sure know how to talk. They just dumb. They don't have the facts straight, let's say. But they have a way of saying facts that somebody dumb will automatically think is true just because the person sounds good saying it. That is a big problem here.
Literally, gentlemen selling you sandboxes in the desert.
Yep. Everybody knows this is good sand. This is the greatest sand ever. Buy my sand.
You don't need it, but we're going to sell it to you.
This sand got Wi-Fi.
All right.
Alrighty, guys.
I thank you for calling in and being with us here today, Miss Nico. We're going to go ahead and move on to the pitch.
Alright. Thanks for having me, guys. Take care. Have a good night.
Hopefully we'll see you next week for our little Nick Cage festival.
For sure. Next week's my birthday.
Oh, well, happy birthday. We're going to have to do something.
We got to do something.
Do something to celebrate.
Yeah.
Hey, let me know ahead of time if you'll be around. We'll make sure we do something to celebrate.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure, man.
All right, have a good night, Miss B. Huh?
You guys have a good night. Take care.
Working on it, you too. Hope everything is good over there.
Yeah. I got my...
Oh no. My apologies, Miss B. You were saying something and I hit the button and I cut you off. I apologize. I will text you back while we are getting set up for the pitch storm thing here. Oh, I feel so bad. That's the horrible thing about trying to bring somebody in on the phone is that you're talking to them and then you think we're done and you're not done. Okay, so we're here at the pitch storm portion of the podcast, and we're going to go ahead and let Mr. Omar read out the first set of cards for our pitch storm this evening.
These will blow your mind. A rich but unhappy oil tycoon raises a child while searching for true love.
Oh, did I get all the romantic cards this time around?
Yeah, mad romantic, super sappy. But then it gets good when let's set this whole story in a haunted hospital.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. So that
just happened.
A rich, unhappy oil tycoon. So we're already talking an older gentleman. Raises a child while searching for true love. So it sounds like we're talking about the Bushes. George W.
Howdy doos.
Right?
Say your howdy doos.
Right? Okay, so let's see.
Right.
So it's an oil tycoon, so we got Texas going on there. Unless he's a rich oil tycoon from like Saudi Arabia, someplace else, Iraq.
At a haunted hospital?
A haunted hospital? Well, there's a lot of...
he wouldn't be raising a child on his own.
He's raising a child... Well, is he raising a child in a haunted hospital? Is he raising a child in a hospital or a place that formerly was a hospital that he's turned into, like, his own home? Like a mansion of some sort?
The child sees dead people.
Saw an old hospital, said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and make this hospital into a home. Spend millions of dollars renovating an old hospital into a mansion. You a little zoned out there? Where are you? I'm talking to you.
Oh, I thought you were on the phone with somebody.
Why would I pick up and start talking on the phone in the middle of...
I really don't know, but it's anarchy. Anything can happen.
Yeah, no, I'm not on the phone. I was just...
I was looking at some crazy killing taking place in the movie.
Movie is still playing in the background while we're doing
So let me
this.
get that question again. I wasn't listening. I thought you were talking to somebody for real.
Oh, no, I was just saying, like, I mean, what are we believing is that this gentleman, he has, like...
Yeah, I will say Texas. I will say a rich guy that is, rich from oil and all that.
Did he buy an old hospital and was renovating it into his own, like, weird kind of hospital mansion? I don't know.
Who the hell knows? He's...
Because what's the purpose to having
the
a hospital?
hospital has been in his family, and he happened to inherit it. And then, he's in there. It's like a mental hospital, an abandoned mental hospital that happens to be haunted.
I like a House on Haunted Hill?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was he's just trying to start working on it, renovating it into a modern, state-of-the-art facility that he dreamed of having as part of, his whole conglomerate of enterprises and whatever you want to call it.
So for my rich, unhappy oil tycoon, I think... Jeffrey Rush. What do you think? Do you know Jeffrey Rush? Is he coming to you off the top of your head?
It is. It sounds good. I mean...
He's an unhappy looking guy.
He looks very unhappy.
Like, all the time he looks unhappy.
No, I know who you're talking about. Now, who we should do... Jeffrey Rush, and then the kid, raising a kid on his own.
Jeffrey Rush, I like if we're having Jeffrey Rush as the oil tycoon. I like.
I don't know a lot of child stars of today, to be honest.
Well, if you have Jeffrey Rush as the oil tycoon, he's an older fella, so you could have somebody that's like 20 to middle age.
Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin.
Wow, well, he hasn't been used in a whole lot lately. I don't...
That's exactly why.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Like...
And he's been seeing these dead people since he was a little kid.
Because I was thinking this gentleman right here, Adam Driver.
Adam Driver.
He looks like he could be related to Jeffrey Rush a little bit, just by facial structure.
A little less than happy looking, though.
He's also unhappy. You got an unhappy oil tycoon raising an unhappy kid.
A little less unhappy looking. Nothing unhappier than a kid that has had everything, that doesn't know the taste of achieving anything because everything has been handed to him.
And Adam Driver is just young enough that if he's one of those petulant rich kids, he could still be being raised by his dad, being taught the ways of the world. Because, a lot of rich kids are sheltered. They don't necessarily know the ways of the world outside of what their parents teach them.
Exactly. They haven't had to get out there and get anything. And it tests a lot to the premise of that whole thing with depression. I've seen so many rich kids suffer depression much more than poor kids.
Yeah.
and anxiety and a whole lot of disorders having to do with a lot of mental issues, and are mostly, privileged kids, economically privileged.
Well, I mean, that's not necessarily surprising either. I mean, a lot of them, like I said, they end up being very sheltered. They end up being, I guess, sort of a little bit disconnected from the regular world. So when they get to that point in life where they actually have to interact with human beings,
Yep.
some of them are well prepared for it because their parents are smart enough to make sure that they go to, decent schools and they're taught the ways of the world. And then some of them are just not prepared for dealing with the real world to begin with and end up being nothing but petulant children well into their old age.
Yeah, basically, nothing more unpleasant than an adult little asshole. So basically, at some point you got to grow out of being a little asshole. Being a big asshole is not any better. But when you have like little asshole tendencies, when you have as an adult the actions of a spoiled little brat child.
Speaking of big assholes, just you were playing with us just a moment ago. We got a fuggler that Mr. Omar was playing with a minute ago. Did you realize that they put a button on there for the asshole? Every single one of these fugglers has a button asshole.
That's a huge asshole.
I don't know why. What the purpose to giving a child's toy, essentially a child's toy, a button asshole is, I don't know. That is a complete side point. Okay.
It is, though. A great example. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing worse than somebody that is an adult and acts like a brat. I don't understand how anybody would even find... There's nothing to... No matter what else is good about you, there's no redeeming or making up for that shit.
Very good. All right. So we have to find true love. Who is this gentleman, or gentlewoman, that Jeffrey Rush is trying to find true love with?
Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep.
She has the personality. Meryl Streep, she will be the actress that will have the personality to humble the brat son, to bring him down to earth, and also give a little joy to Jeffrey Rush, turn that little moping face into a smiley face.
So where would she take place in this, though? Like,
we were talking about he's trying to renovate that whole facility that it happens to be haunted.
Yes.
So Meryl Streep could definitely play a smart woman, educated woman, like an architect that he goes to consult and miss her and falls head over heels for her.
It is a haunted facility, right?
The facility's haunted, but he goes out, searching for an architect firm to help him design the facility that he dreams to make there.
Let's turn this into something a little different. So you're talking about the woman running the facility, but I was thinking maybe he thinks that she runs the facility.
No, she's not running the facility. She's an architect that he wants to hire to design the facility that he's trying to renovate.
Okay. Oh, let me finish my thought real quick.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And I know I misunderstood what you were saying, too. But I was thinking, I don't know if you've ever seen a movie called High Spirits. With Mr. Steve Guttenberg and Daryl Hannah. But I feel like this guy thinks that she is... He meets her and immediately is being walked through the facility, and he's basically, she's showing him the ins and outs of the place. Basically, like she had something to do with the place. Like she either ran the facility or once owned the facility, or basically... Either way, he finds out that this woman does not exist anymore. She is dead. He is basically being led around the hospital by a dead woman, a ghost, who he's basically falling for.
Daryl Hannah.
Well, no, I'm not Daryl Hannah. I like the Meryl Streep idea, but Meryl Streep basically plays one of the spirits haunting the hospital.
Daryl Hannah was the character.
Daryl Hannah in that particular movie, High Spirits.
Yeah. That type of, you wanted, but that would be repeating an already done thing. I think he will fall for this educated woman, and the place happens to be haunted.
Daryl Hannah, it wouldn't be doing an already done thing, because the whole premise of that other movie
Was a different thing, yeah.
It was Steve Guttenberg, a bunch of people going overseas to what was supposed to be like a theme restaurant, bed and breakfast kind of place. It was out of a castle, and it was haunted by the descendants of that particular castle. The current owner is one of their ancestors, and the woman that Guttenberg falls in love with, played by Daryl Hannah, was murdered on her wedding night by Liam Neeson. It's one of his early roles, and she was stuck in a loop, and getting killed every night until Steve Guttenberg broke her out of it, and she fell in love with him. So it was kind of the idea that I had was, yes, we're still talking about a ghost here, but I was leaning towards she's a ghost who doesn't realize that she's dead. I want to say one of the former benefactors or directors of the hospital that is currently in a coma in the same hospital. And so what you're seeing is an actually projected spirit who thinks she's still alive and presenting herself to him as such. So he doesn't know that she's dead, or not dead, but in a coma at first. Like, she is real to him until he starts to realize that nobody else can see this woman who's leading him around the hospital.
Yeah.
Or she, walks through a door and doesn't realize that she's walked through the door. You know? It's like, wait a minute.
Did I just do that? I don't remember opening that door.
She walks through it, he walks into it, something silly like that. But you could almost make it like a weird kind of romantic comedy.
Yeah, it could be. I will think Meryl Streep being somebody that he tries to hire to design his new facility.
Okay.
Because think about this. If it happens in the place, the kid is gonna know that she's dead because he's been seeing dead people all his life.
Well, I think the kid...
he thinks they're kept as zombies and ghosts or whatever to serve him because he's a fucking brat.
I think he has no interest in what his dad's doing, at all. As far as he's concerned, he's looking at his dad like, when you die, I'm inheriting all your shit. So make whatever deals you have to make more money.
Exactly.
You know. Which, there's a lot of people that kind of live that way. It's like, well, I've already been born into money. Why do I have to work? I'll just inherit it when this person dies. You know? So, yeah. So we got... We'll go with the architectural thing.
That's exactly how they think, though.
I'm just trying to... I'm trying to give it a spin. I see a lot of boring movies like that. Like, kind of, 2 Weeks was kind of similar to that. You know, I don't want to... This is my thing. I watch cinema the way that I'm watching it right now, and some things are trying to kind of get out there, out on the fringes of things, and try to make some really new stuff. But a lot of the cinema that I've been watching lately, a lot of the movies, they feel like they're just rebooting and rehashing the same old things over and over and over again.
It's true.
And I sat down and watched one of the biggest disappointments that I've watched in a long time. I am a massive, massive fan of Kevin Smith.
Oh, yeah.
And I went when I found out that the Jay and Silent Bob reboot was being made. I went and I ordered that on Blu-ray. As soon as I saw it pop up on Amazon. And I finally got it in the mail, and I sat down to watch it the other night. And as far as I can tell, that entire film exists for no other reason than to make fun of itself. So it's not that it was making fun of other genres or the reboot or the remake thing. It was more there to just sort of make fun of itself and the original movie that existed before it. And while I can have an appreciation of that a little bit, it kind of reminded me of why I'm getting tired of a lot of cinema and the way it is, and why I'm searching for a lot of those kind of oddities. Why I like Troma so much. Because Troma, for all of the weirdness and the nastiness that you see in their films, you can really say, I've never fucking seen that in a movie before.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, you saw Pigs. When did you see anything like that before?
Yeah. That was...
All right. You watched Romeo and Juliet. Have you ever had a movie traumatize you more?
Yeah, that was crazy.
And mind you, I know there's other films out there that could traumatize you far more than that. You know, there's The Terrifier and the Serbian film that people keep telling me to watch that I just keep going, I've heard about it, and I don't have any interest in any of that crap.
Exactly.
Because I'm looking for interesting films, not necessarily films to disgust myself with.
True.
Let other podcasts touch on that. I don't have to. You know what I mean?
That is true. I agree. Totally agree.
You
know one thing that I found pretty crazy about this movie?
Uh-oh, we're back to the movie. Go ahead.
Now that I look at it and think of it, is that they're dressed like... They're terrorists. It's supposed to be like a terrorist thing, and they were dressed like the girls are dressed like Muslims. Like, what the hell happened here?
They're in a Muslim country.
Oh, that's where they went.
They escaped to a Muslim country.
That explains it. Now, the millionaire tycoon. I still like Meryl Streep. I try to look for other women for her.
Well, the only other person that I think was up there was Glenn Close.
Glenn Close.
And Glenn Close hasn't gotten a lot of play lately. She's been in a couple of things, but like, in all honesty, I think Glenn Close, a la, the Fatal Attraction, stuff like that. You really haven't seen her in a lot of romantic anything. You know, she hasn't been the romantic lead in much anything. I think she deserves her fair shot, right? And she's not a bad-looking woman. She's right up there with Meryl Streep as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So. Oh, yeah. Great actress.
And if you're talking about somebody that has a serious enough look to play sort of like the head of an architectural firm that's trying to impress this guy and get them to go with their, their company to renovate the place.
But she also will have to be somebody down to earth to get this guy to fall in love, not just anybody.
Well, maybe he falls in love with the no nonsense part of the whole thing.
Yeah, that too.
And maybe she isn't having any of it. And the reason why he likes her is because of the fact that she's
not afraid to put him in his place if she needs to.
She basically explains to him, I'm not playing hard to get. I'm not playing. There's nothing here about playing, you know. We're not playing hard to get. We're not playing anything coy here. I'm not interested in you. And he's falling head over heels for her, and he's acting like a sad sack puppy dog the entire movie because he's fallen in love with her, and she's just not interested. Rush. He's not interested. Nope, I'm good.
At some point, he should get her, though.
The only other guy that I could have thought of for the lead of the movie was Harvey Keitel.
I like Harvey Keitel. I love Harvey Keitel. I don't know if I like him for an oil tycoon, but I do.
Harvey Keitel could
enjoy his acting very much.
He's done everything. That man has played some. He played the pimp in Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
You know, he's been a pimp. He's been a gangster. He's been a priest, for frickin' Christ's sakes.
He's been many gangsters.
Well, that's his thing. You know, that's his main thing. He likes to be the gangster. Or maybe he's been stereotyped as the gangster.
I love them on Mean Streets. I don't know if you saw The Irishman already on Netflix. He was in that too. He played Angelo Bruno.
The Irishman?
In The Irishman. Yeah,
I've been meaning to watch it. I have not gotten a chance.
He played legendary godfather of the Philadelphia Mafia, Angelo Bruno, in The Irishman.
Okay.
He didn't look much like him, but he did a hell of a job acting it. They've gotten... The way the guy looked, they've gotten some actors to play Angelo Bruno. I don't know if you've seen Legend, the story of the Cray twins from London. A couple of American mafiosi traveled to England and did business with them.
Okay.
And Angelo Bruno was one of them, and in that movie he was played by Chaz Palminteri. So, he runs the gamut.
Well, I mean, you're not going to have the same guy play the same character in every single movie.
No, not the same guy, but, the thing is that none of them look really like the guy. Like the guy that they're playing. Neither one of them looks like him.
No, we focused a lot on the love portion of this whole thing, who we want in the movie. We got Jeffrey Rush playing across from
Yeah.
from Meryl Streep with Adam Driver as the child, but we're not touching on the ghost part
We
here.
want some ghosts, goddammit.
Why is the haunting so important?
I like Whoopi Goldberg as one of them.
Why is the haunting so important, though? Why are there ghosts here? Why is it a haunted facility? And what are they doing to
I guess part of
exorcise the demons, as it were?
part of their fortune is because they allowed the government to run some pretty wicked experiments at that facility in the 40s, 30s and 40s. Well, in the 40s and up. And a lot of shit happened, and a lot of spirits are running around the hospital because they died while being tortured.
Okay. So this is just a place just overrun with spirits because it was a formal mental health facility that took to doing some things that were much...
To allowing the government to do some experiments on the people that had mental issues.
Unconventional methods of healing the mentally ill.
Or unorthodox.
A la Mr. Kellogg.
Yeah. There was some Mr. Kellogg shit going on.
There's a film about Kellogg that I would love to get a hold of. It's a comedy if I can get a hold of it, that's one movie I'd like to do for this podcast. It's
What's
not an easy movie to find, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But
find the name and let me know.
Right, it's something that I want to find on Blu-ray or something to that nature.
And that one was a comedy.
That was a comedy, yes. But that is one that I am very, very interested in seeing. Again, it's been a while. I want to say it came out in the 80s, maybe? There you go. Road to Wellville.
Mm-hmm.
The Road to Wellville, which is not an easy movie to find. It got a 41% on Rotten Tomatoes, 5.9 on IMDb, and I haven't really seen. Is this a movie that you can just pick up? Oh, okay. I guess you can pick it up on DVD through eBay, of course, where they're sending you all sorts of weird bootlegs.
So who do we like for the ghosts?
Well, I mean, dependent upon how you're doing it, if they're just ghosts of folks, random folks from a long sense, unless you're looking to have them physically interact or talk with the characters, you could almost just cast nobodies. No. You can if you're doing anything that requires them to interact with the main cast, then you may want to think about having actual people.
Oh.
You know.
I have a couple of legendary people that I would like as ghosts and previous crazy people in this movie.
Okay, go ahead.
Bill Murray, Whoopi Goldberg.
Bill Murray, Whoopi Goldberg as ghosts. Okay.
Yeah, some younger, like Winona Ryder.
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin will do a great ghost. Winona Ryder.
Just a cast of classic comedy actors, you know?
Yeah. No, and a couple of some people that could do crazy shit. Winona Ryder.
You know who I want to see? I haven't seen him in a while either. I loved him as a comedian. And sad to see his brother go from this world. Jim Belushi.
Yeah.
Jim Belushi would be fantastic. I like him.
John Belushi died, in the late 70s, right?
Correct.
79, 78?
That is correct, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, Jim Belushi has done great stuff in comedy films. That will be probably like... He's the ghost that leads the ghost. He was the director of the hospital who never agreed with anything that they were doing there, so he got killed by the government. And basically he was killed first so they could do what they did. And he became like the mentor and the guide of the ghosts once they died too at the hospital. He was waiting for them. So he's like all the other ghosts respect and look up to.
Okay. So this is like... Okay, you got a ghost with a ringleader. Basically, so these are organized ghosts that are trying to get them to leave their home.
Pretty much.
We don't want you here, so they're going to do what they can.
And they should end up leaving.
So you got two plots. You've got the ghosts who are fighting against this oil tycoon to get them to leave his home.
And the oil tycoon falling off head over heels for an architect he's trying to hire to design the property he's trying to build there.
And why don't we make the petulant child, Mr. Adam Driver, the only one that can see these ghosts.
Yeah,
He's the only one that can physically see them. Like, nobody else is physically seeing them. But as far as he's concerned, while this facility isn't necessarily heavily populated, whatever they're seeing, he's seeing just ghosts everywhere.
Yeah.
So I like that.
I like it too.
Which slowly drives him a little bit nuts, too.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go on to
Because he can be a little delusional about his own sense of importance, his inflated sense of ego, being a brat. But, the fact that he's seeing all these dead people that are kind of catered to him doesn't help.
Well, of course, he's used to it. His entire life, people have been taking care of him, taking care of all of his needs, He basically has people to basically wipe his ass for him. You grow up in a life where everybody's wiping your ass for you. When do you learn to wipe your own ass?
Smell his poop to see what he should eat today.
Exactly.
You saw the movie The Last Emperor?
Yes.
At the beginning of the movie, they bring a special person, like a special doctor, that smells the child's poop. And that person say, basically, based on that, what they just smelled, what the child should eat that day.
Fantastic.
From the smell of his morning poop.
Well, this is what he needs today for food. And
Today, you feed him this, that, and the third.
fetch the royal shit sniffer.
Yep.
No, I mean, that's an interesting job to have. How would you like to be hired as the royal shit sniffer? The person who has to basically smell the shit that you just dealt. To tell you whether or not you're doing all right. Well, smells like you need a little bit more fiber. Maybe a little fruit.
Yeah, it was kind of, but the person will make an announcement of it. Today's food should be this, that, the third. Yeah, like that. And like, what the fuck is going on here?
What have you been eating? Ugh. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our second pitch storm here. All right, so our second pitch storm is the only girl in a male-dominated sport must go back in time to stop their crush from marrying the wrong person.
Back in time.
And, what the fuck? Okay. What if all the characters are lost in a dangerous cave? What? We went romantic comedy, Back to the Future, and then I don't even know what the fuck this was.
Man of Neanderthal.
Descent?
Wasn't
that a movie about a bunch of people who went spelunking in a cave and there was something in the cave with them? Descent? It's a weird horror movie. I don't know.
No, I know what you're talking about, which one you're talking about. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. These people? I don't know.
I'm going to have difficulty with
some
that.
notes.
So is it like maybe this card right here, the dangerous cave, was the catalyst that drove him to the woman that he eventually married that she felt was the wrong guy. So maybe it's like a sports team, like, I don't know what team kind of...
A cave? They were probably mad in the middle of a disaster. A building was decimated and they were trapped down there.
So it's the only girl in a male-dominated sport. So let's see. Is she we're going to go with soccer?
Dodgeball. No.
Dodgeball. Dodgeball. Yeah, this is like the sequel to Dodgeball.
No.
No. Dodgeball wasn't a male-dominated sport. There were women in that, too.
Pool. Billiards.
Yeah.
Nah.
That's
I'm just throwing sports out there just for the fuck of it.
It's a little... I was going to say, that's a little on the boring side, too.
Dice.
Huh.
Shooting craps.
That's not so much a sport as gambling now.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Right. Well, if you want to go on to ESPN 12.
ESPN
that's a
13.
Sport. ESPN 12 presents Rock, Paper, Scissors.
Rock, paper, scissors.
No.
Final tournament. The finals. Rock, paper, scissors. The finals.
We randomly add in an extra component. Water. Okay. Just drowns everything.
Yeah.
We've been here for the last 12 hours. They keep shooting scissors at each other.
Yes.
Rock, paper, scissors played with actual rock, paper, and scissors.
And an amazing rock by Jodorowsky.
Fedorov lost that hand with an ill-timed scissors.
Uh-huh.
And he's out. Anyway.
Oh my god.
So I feel we're making a joke sport because here's my feeling. If we're gonna make it a joke, I want this to be a sequel to Basketball.
Oh my god.
Okay. So we're gonna
I forgotten Basketball.
the original guys from Basketball. We got Trey Parker and Matt Stone. They are now managers of their own separate basketball teams, and
Rivals.
they're sort of like the back end of the story. So they're part of the story. It's like you start with them talking about them being rivals of separate basketball teams, and then all of a sudden it fades into like an inner monologue a la Scrubs. Zach Braff and Scrubs was always talking to himself in his own head. So one of the players on the team that Matt Stone takes care of, right, or he's the manager of that team, she is the only female in the sport currently. She broke into the sport by basically had to fight her way in there. And there's a couple of people I like for a weird kind of comedy like that.
Girl. Let me tell you something, my friend. I'm passionate about basketball.
You know
And just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I don't deserve to be here any less than you.
So I see two people that could do this. And you can tell me if you like either one of them. Parker Posey.
Parker Posey.
Parker Posey. She has got... I think she would do a beautiful inner monologue kind of thing. And I think she's been in a couple of comedies, a couple of serious roles, but I love her in comedic roles. I really do. She was like the lead bad guy in Josie and the Pussycats. Parker Posey or Missy Pyle. Also in Josie and the Pussycats, she played the girl with the skunk stripe in her hair.
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking these folks up to try to figure out who I'm talking about?
Yeah, you know way too many people.
I watch way too many movies.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
This is Parker Posey right here.
Oh, no, I found her.
Okay, you found Parker Posey. And Missy Pyle has been in a lot of comedies. I want to say everything...
Missy Pyle, I know.
I want to say everything that Missy Pyle has ever done has been a comedy, really. I don't see her in a lot of serious roles. But she also has the physique where she could be an athlete.
Parker Posey is the girl from the does the mockumentaries.
Right. She does, yeah, she's been in like the Best in Show and stuff like that with those folks.
I like Missy Pyle, though.
The reason why I feel Parker Posey over Missy Pyle is only because of the fact that you could sort of play it as this girl who doesn't really look like she belongs in the sport, right? But she is surprisingly like a scrapper, like a real underdog kind of character. And people constantly underestimate her and she constantly shows them up. Whereas Missy Pyle already having that physique where she could be an athlete, I really feel you can't play her off as an underdog. You could play the female card in a male sport, but other than that, you're not going to get that underdog feel from her. And I feel like, Parker, she's...
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. When you're right, you're not wrong.
And the sport, you can literally, considering how the other movies went, you could just round the entire cast out with just an oddity, just a bunch of odd characters.
I like that.
I like John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo could be like the coach.
We already got we already got the two main coaches.
No, they're managers. Not the same.
Not the same thing. You're correct.
They're like managers are like the office end of things, the ones who hire the players.
But I say you got an equal mix of younger guys and older guys on both sports.
Oh, okay, then John Leguizamo could play a fantastic hardball off his rocker.
But I want to say that John Leguizamo is the main love interest in this. He's the guy. He's the guy that's okay. If he's going to be coaching the team, right? Mm-hmm. He's the guy that fell in love with another character we haven't picked yet, and she goes back in time, or accidentally goes back in time. I feel like you could do this with several different mechanisms, but one of the fun things to do in sports. What do they do in sports movies when you want to have somebody accidentally go back in time?
They hit themselves in the head.
You get hit in the head with something. And then we relive our lives by getting a concussion.
Yeah.
That's always the way that they do that.
Yeah, it's true, though. Always.
So I feel like she ends up getting a concussion, knocked out on the field, and she is literally trying to relive her life in her dreams. Or in her coma dream. Okay? Effectively doing nothing in the real world. So the whole point to this is no matter what she does here in her dream, trying to relive this as the younger version of herself, it's not going to affect shit out here. So you get things back and forth, and as
I like the fact that you have so many possibilities by going back and forth. You will drive people crazy, but it will be crazy entertaining too.
But she's like their all-star, the all-star for that team. So when she gets knocked out and is in a coma, I feel like the entire team they were one of those teams that have never been defeated. You know, they got like not an undefeated streak, but rarely ever defeated. Mm-hmm. And the second she gets knocked out and put in a coma, all of a sudden they're just losing left and right.
They're like the Yankees of basketball.
They were the Yankees of basketball.
The Patriots of basketball.
And then they end up being the Cubs. Or actually, the Cubs they went to the.
They've been to the World Series already.
Who's the Astros? Maybe.
The Astros.
There's a couple of teams that just have never made it.
Yes, a few.
What do you do as a baseball team that has never ever made it to the big game?
You just keep trying to get to the big game.
Right, like in the entirety of the history of baseball,
it's 7 big games. The World Series.
Right.
It's like in the NBA, the finals. So.
But I think there's like a total of like 3 or 4 teams that have never made it to the World Series in the entirety of baseball.
History.
So I mean, right currently there's I think 3 teams, maybe 4, that have never been to the World Series, and I just wonder what you do as a professional sport or as a professional sports team if your team has never made it there, like ever. You know, we could say that as Patriots fans a while back. You know, we finally got that lucky break that whole Bears thing. Bears versus Patriots. That was our first time in, first time lost. All right. And then you're looking at
Major League Baseball teams that have never been to the World Series: Houston Astros.
Okay.
Seattle Mariners. Milwaukee Brewers. San Diego Padres. Colorado Rockies. Washington Nationals. Tampa Bay Rays, and the Texas Rangers.
Oh, there's a few of them.
Yeah.
Never been to the World Series. Wow, there's a few of them there.
Right now, I don't know why they say never been. Probably never won a World Series. But the Seattle Mariners are the only current Major League Baseball franchise to have never appeared in a World Series.
So let's call it the Mariners then. Let's call it the Seattle Mariners.
Yep, the Seattle Mariners.
So I want to. Okay, so we'll call them the Seattle Mariners of baseball. I was just trying to put a face on it, like an actual professional sports face on it.
We should actually call them the Tacoma Mariners because they're both in Washington State. The story takes place in Washington State, and they are the Tacoma Mariners. And they just happen to never been to a World Series, and they're having the greatest year ever. And they're headed to the World Series of basketball until this shit happens.
I want to say that this guy is supposed to be the love of her life, and he married. Well, let's put Missy Pyle in the movie. So Matt Stone married Missy Pyle.
So all these other teams, they've been but never won.
Okay, and that Mariners are the only ones that have never been, never
at
appeared.
all.
Okay, well, my apologies, Seattle. You've got other good things going for you.
Seattle's a great city. I used to love going out there.
All right. So what are we doing with the going back in time portion of this? So they're in a dangerous cave. So what that means is that that was the catalyst to young Matt Stone getting with young Missy Pyle. So I want to say we have to have younger versions of themselves. And in all honesty, what you can do with that really is you can sort of you can get a bunch of unknown younger kids to kind of play, or younger, in this case, people in their 20s or
she
teens.
wakes up as a younger version of herself, too.
Well, when she wakes up in her coma dream, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say you don't really originally realize that in the movie. Like, she gets hit in the head, and then she wakes up in the hospital a younger version of herself. However, you also get to go back, and at some point during the movie, you realize, no, she's just in a fucking coma. Mm-hmm. And her team's hurting without her.
Or you could make it real.
Yeah.
And she's really in that situation, and when she wakes up, she sees all the whole butterfly effect thing of what happened in her dream and what she avoided from happening, or what she did to try to avoid it but still didn't, whichever the case may be.
Oh, you know what would be an interesting idea? So, there's bookending concussions. Mm-hmm. So, she suffered a concussion shortly before the trip to the caves that she took that originally had... This was the whole catalyst to this guy falling in love with this other girl. Mm-hmm. The concussion she has in the future, basically the one during the game, is the one that transports her back in time. So she wakes up in the hospital after that first concussion and somehow gets transported back.
Okay.
So it's concussion to concussion.
Yeah.
So these are two separate hospital visits. She was actually in the hospital when she was younger. However, she also has the knowledge of when she was older and everything that had happened from point A to point B.
So she kind of knows what she's there to do.
She
realizes what she's there to do when she starts seeing, looks at a mirror, see who she is, and see things happening.
That's her younger self.
Yeah.
Of course, like I said, you can populate that with fairly unknown folks, or you can actually populate that with folks. You could probably go through Disney's catalog there and find a bunch of folks that you can get that are out of work.
Out of work. You almost didn't want to say it neither. I love it.
You're out of work right now. You want to play a younger version of this person?
Here's the character.
You're looking for a job?
You get to play a young him.
Right? You're not you, you're him. You're just a different version of him, the young version of him. You know, the one that they wish that they were right now, but they're not because they're this old and are still looking for work. No. No, actually, Parker Posey is a fairly popular actress. She still does quite a bit. But I say, I mean, like, the teams, you could actually just kind of mishmash again, together a bunch of secondhand guys. Like, these guys who played kind of like the second fiddle to a lot of popular TV shows, like Dietrich Bader. Is it Bader? The guy, he's currently playing the dad in American Housewife. He was the hippie next door neighbor to the main character from Office Space. He was also one of Drew Carey's buddies on the Drew Carey show, and has actually, I believe, been on his Whose Line Is It Anyway a couple of times. But he's a fantastic actor. He's also got that physique that reminds me of, he could play a professional athlete if he really wanted to. He was actually a security guard in Jay and Silent Bob, the reboot. Reboot. I keep hearing that in like the Canadian accent. What's that a boot? Reboot. Is that a reboot? But yeah, you know, because we're talking about a sport that had like some middle-aged gentlemen in it to begin with. Mm-hmm. So this would actually be, him, Dietrich Bader.
Isn't that Bader?
Bader?
I don't know.
Whatever. It's his name. I don't pronounce it for him. Other people pronounce it. I pronounce it Bader, Bader, whatever.
It's pretty funny, though.
He's a fucking fantastic comedic actor. He's one of those guys that can do kind of goofy, but he can also do the straight man thing as well. Kind of reminds me of, if we really want to go back in time a little bit, kind of reminds me of Jack Lemmon a little bit.
Yeah.
You know? He's got that ability to do both the straight man and the comedic actor with no problem. But yeah, you could populate it with a bunch of second fiddle guys. You know, the guys that kind of they've been in a lot of different stuff, but for the most part have always been the B-lister, the co-star, co-conspirator, co-actor, whatever you want to call him.
The co-co.
And you could probably toss in a few guys that are well known to cult movie fans, but not necessarily well known to folks that deal with popular movies. And only ingest popular movies, which is plenty of those fucking annoying people out there. If the only things that you watch are the things that they feed you by popularity, then I feel sorry for you because you're missing out on a whole world of fucking film. Whole world. That being said,
definitely,
I think that is probably the end of our podcast today. We kind of fleshed that out to a T.
Yeah, we did. I like the other one. We should explore that.
I got a few things that I'm trying to explore. I'm actually trying to write some of these things, but I can't get anybody to come over the house and write them with me. Because you know what?
It's
I take
hard,
up enough. We got lives. I take up enough of everybody's time, and I think I may have to find a separate writing crew from the podcasting crew, and we're looking for folks to get online with us and do sort of a film commentary thing, but a film commentary thing while playing games through PlayStation. And I have one game in particular because it doesn't have a lot of background noise, which is very important, especially when you're trying to chat a bit, and that is No Man's Sky. There's other obvious games like, you know, Minecraft, but I guess I'm not that into Minecraft because I've seen so many people overplay it online that it just doesn't seem like a thing.
It doesn't attract you because of it.
Well, I'm also an older gentleman here. Minecraft doesn't attract me to begin with. You know?
Yeah. My 14-year-old is by now outgrowing Minecraft.
Let me just put it to you this way. Minecraft, to me, is nothing but reminiscent of what I dealt with older video games. You know? It's literally just, it's a rehash of I don't know what you'd call it. It's basically a depixelized version of any other game out there. You know, if you want to build something, make something where you can just build. You know? It's kind of why I like the No Man's Sky thing. It's getting there. It wasn't a great game to start with, but No Man's Sky has become a fantastic game. They did something sneaky with that. So I'm looking to cut for copies to give to each of you guys, and I'm not sure about you because you really don't get on the PlayStation.
Nah,
so
I really don't.
I may just invite you over to kind of sit in on
it,
session.
but not to play.
But
because we have one at home.
So I was looking for a used copy of the No Man's Sky. Now, when it first came out, a lot of people were up in arms because they advertised it as one kind of game, and it wasn't that kind of game. And they did mention right from the get-go that it was going to be one of those games that constantly had free updates. They were never going to charge for you to get the DLC. So, if you have a copy of the original game, it is the same thing now as what they recently put out.
Oh, wow.
So what they did was they put the old game as out of print. The old game is out of print. They recalled a bunch of copies. They repackaged it because recently they added VR to the list of things that you can do.
Oh.
Okay. So what you have on the shelves right now, they have PlayStation, VR compatible, blah, 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 blah. But essentially what they've done is nothing but repackage the old game. Because if you have the old game, every update with that game was free. Absolutely free. So if you plug in the new disc versus the old disc, there's nothing different at all. Because I have VR. I have the VR compatibility. It was one of the updates that was provided free. So what they did was essentially just repackage it so they could sell the game at the $49.99 price point again, instead of having to sell it out for, $20. because the game bombed out when it originally came out. Now it's a fully fleshed out game with all the, ins and outs that they've added to it.
Yes.
It used to be a fairly boring game. You couldn't do much. Everything was stationary. And now it's a very well fleshed out game. It's very entertaining to play. And honestly, if it was that game, I wouldn't have mind popping out, $40 to $50 for it when it originally came out. Now that I know what they did, it's like I'm glad I still have my copy of the game, because like the fact that you can't find the older copies anywhere that they were basically taking off the shelves.
It's taking one of the market and give me the money for the same thing again.
Right. It's exactly that. Because now that it's a fully fleshed out game, anybody that bought that game and just kind of said, you know what, I don't want this anymore, and tossed it the wind, and now they're realizing it's a fully fleshed out game, they want to play it again. Well, guess what? You get to spend $50 on it again. Exactly. Well, why? The game's been out for a couple of years now. Well, that's because we've repackaged it in VR. It's now compatible with VR. And if you want all the lovely free updates that we made between point A and point B, spend another $50. That's how you do it, right?
How much?
It's $50 on the shelves right now.
$50.
$50. Yeah. It originally came out as $59.99 when I first bought it. And I'll be honest, the first time I played the game, I thought it was pretty shitty. I kept a hold of my copy, though. I didn't do what everybody else did and complain and rant and rave and bitch and piss and moan and say, I don't think this is what they put. You sold me something that it wasn't. Well, what they did was they sold you the beta version of the game, basically. What they did was they gave you a live beta that had some glitches and it wasn't fully formed and fully fleshed out. And they've added things over the years. And they've been pretty good about consistently putting out new content and new things to keep the game fully interactive. Mm-hmm. My old file is not compatible with my new file. The old file for the game had like nothing. And so everything, I had to relearn how to play the game when I picked it up recently.
True that.
That being said, it's now multiplayer compatible, and I was looking to get a copy of the game for each of you so that we could meet, technically, in our own separate homes within the game and continue to discuss film and other things, political shit, and just kind of vent, bitch, piss, and moan,
It's true.
And I think that it would be an interesting thing to put up live on Twitch, Facebook. We can't live stream through Facebook with it anymore. Actually, PS4 and Facebook are no longer compatible.
PS4 and Facebook are no longer compatible?
No, for some reason, at some point, I think it was there was a security issue, and I'm not sure if it was the PlayStation, Sony or whatever that pulled back, or if it was Facebook that pulled back, but they stopped offering services. So what you could do is you used to be able to, put live video and such up on Facebook. You could share your stuff to Facebook. You could take a snapshot of something on the screen and send it out and share it to Facebook directly. Now you've got to go through other venues to do that. You can still live stream to both YouTube and Twitch, which is what I plan on doing with us. I figure one of us could live stream to Twitch, the other one can live stream to YouTube, and we can have it up on both venues at the same time.
On both platforms.
And that's going to help us reach a wider audience. And I think it would be a little more, it would be kind of unique. There's not a lot of folks that get on there, play games, and discuss other things other than the games they're actually playing.
It's true. And
now that I've put that out live on Facebook, I'm hoping that we can nail that down before somebody else does it.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I guess you forgot we were.
I've got a copy waiting for Friday, and I'm hoping maybe we can get our first live stream up in separate homes next Monday.
Let's see what we do. We can always broadcast Google Hangouts, though. I think, no.
It's possible. We can look at a bunch of different stuff. I mean, honestly, we can do most of our podcasts via separate computers that way too.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was saying.
Just capture the audio. But yeah, there's a lot of different things we can look into to try to kind of widen the audience a little bit. Things that don't necessarily require us to all have to gather in the same domicile all the time.
Yeah, definitely. We could do that.
And that's just us sitting here and fleshing out a little bit. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our podcast today. And
Definitely.
from myself and Miss B, who is not here for the end of the podcast, thank you again.
Definitely. Thank you very much for listening today. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, everybody's listening. Not everybody watched. I understand it's a Super Bowl Sunday this week.
Oh, am I taking you away from the Super Bowl?
Me? I don't follow football.
No.
Only college football. I follow college football. I don't follow NFL.
Patriots aren't in it this time around, so a lot of locals are not terribly interested,
Yeah. No, it's just a football town, basically. A football state. They like their football. They're going to follow either way. So, I expect a lot of people to be tuned in. Streets were still kind of empty. So, yeah, a lot of people are watching. There's still Super Bowl parties going on. It's not the same because your local team is not going, but that doesn't stop people from tuning in and joining into the fever.
Guess I might need to take it easy driving you home because they're looking for drunks right now.
Not necessarily.
Well, no, this is like the beginning of the game. They haven't really gotten into it yet, have they?
I don't believe so.
You know what?
Like I said, I haven't cared for the NFL in a while. Like, I'll watch a game if it's playing, if it's a good game, because I don't dislike football, but it's not my main thing. I'm more of a baseball guy.
I prefer college football.
College football,
Personally.
I sit down and watch a whole game, and I love the NFL draft because most of these kids that get drafted, I've seen them play college football.
You know, I'm going to Google after we're done here. XFL. The XFL was supposed to come back this year.
Oh, yeah.
But they're supposed to play
I don't know
in the off-season.
I don't know what happened with that, though.
Well, they've already got their teams, so apparently it's there. I just haven't seen anything. Like, where is it going to be broadcast? Who can see it? Who can watch it? Is it something I'm going to have to watch on cable? Because guess what? Getting rid of that soon.
Because, Ice Cube has his own basketball league.
What?
Ice Cube has his own basketball league. It's called the Big Three. And he's basically 3-on-3.
3-on-3 baskot.
Yeah.
Is this broadcast anywhere?
I don't know. You look into it, but they have a lot of basketball legends. I believe some college kids too.
College kids that didn't quite make it to the game?
Or that made it to probably the European leagues and stuff of that nature. Because a lot of people think it's just this, but just like NFL...
it's like Canadian League football, too,
you got Canadian League football, you got NFL Europe, but you also have, like, for baseball players, it's not only Major League Baseball, you have the Japanese leagues, the Mexican League. They make money there. Korean Baseball League. For basketball, it's even more widened because it's played in professional leagues pretty much all over the world. You have the professional leagues in Europe. A lot of people make a lot of money. China, you have a basketball legend like Stephen Marbury. I'm not sure if he retired from there already, but after the NBA, he made money for a number of years playing basketball in China. And you got those.
Like I was saying, hockey is also fairly worldwide, too.
Fairly
they play it on an Olympic
too.
level.
It's a sport that's played at an Olympic level. So...
I think almost all of these sports are played on an Olympic level.
The big problem with us here is that we are so centered in this being the greatest country in the world that we don't care about what anybody else is doing. There's a lot of good and interesting thing happening all over the world that we'd be remiss not to pay attention to. Great stuff.
That's the revolution. The revolution is education and the ability to pay attention to something other than your own face in the mirror.
Exactly.
So, we will leave you on our lovely podcast with that little grain of thought. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, to the Cinematic Anarchy listeners. I want to say Spotify, but I'm like, we're everywhere.
We're everywhere now. Yes, definitely.
We are all over a lot of different venues right now.
Catch us on iTunes, on Spotify, on every platform. We're there.
And the sponsorship dollars are still a little low, so I'm going to leave a nice little link below our podcast when I upload that later this evening. I'm going to leave a link for our PayPal, I'm going to have you guys float your information. That way we can have the PayPal for each of us up and sitting there. And I'm going to go ahead and float you some information on how to get in contact with us through the Anchor app. We have they have weekly and monthly sponsorships there as well, as low as 99 cents. We want to be able to keep this going. We need better equipment and a little bit more to assist us, and we are slowly getting it, but every little bit helps. Thank you to all the folks that sit there and kick cans my way. I got half the team over at our actual job, our physical money-paying job, that bring cans to my desk on the daily. So that's actually, I mean, hey, it's 5 cents at a time, but that's a couple of bucks here, a couple of bucks there, and it does add up. We are very close to being able to get our second microphone, which will help increase the sound quality here. We need to get a nice webcam, a nice little interface, maybe something that we can set up for a bit of sound effects. Some little things that we can add, little tweaks to the podcast, make things more entertaining. And we are looking for guests. People to invite on the podcast. We're looking for new mainstays. We're hoping Miss Peyton's going to come back and join us a little bit more frequently. Mr. Alex, who was here for one podcast, we want him back on here again. Fantastic talkers, both of them.
Definitely.
And we're gonna say something for you guys right here. I know this is the very end of the podcast, but it's hard not to talk about these folks. The Dezombified podcast. You can find them over on YouTube. I'm not sure where else, but we actually want to interact with these guys. We want to go ahead and bring them on our podcast and see if they'd like us to come and sit down and talk with them. We're not really their thing. They're more into horror narrative. So they do a lot of horror stories, stuff like that.
It will still be great to have them do a pitch drum with us.
But if you're seeing us on Facebook, Dezombified, we'd like to work with you. And if you're listening to us on the podcast, either way, we want to work with you guys. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good night. Or day. Or
morning.
You have whatever time of day that you're actually in right now. Just have it. Have it. Take it. Hold it. Do everything you want.
Whatever time it is, have a great one.
Don't marry it. It's not ready for that yet.